Welcome to another CEO Wisdom Pod with Talia Soen. She's a PM turned entrepreneur. She's now CEO at Happy Things. She's helping people practice happiness and live a happier life, which is very interesting. Happy to jump into that one today. This pod is brought to you by my podcasting agency. It's called podbuyer.com. If you want to start, scale, or be invited to podcasts like this one, we monetize podcasts the unconventional way. Talia, grateful that you're here today. Tell me a bit more about yourself and Happy Things.
Yeah, so Charles, thanks for having me. So like you said, I am the co-founder and CEO of Happy Things, which is a personal happiness assistant, a mobile app that is based on thousands of studies in the field of positive psychology, which is also known as the science of happiness, and really helps people practice happiness as a skill in just 5 minutes a day. And it's really a combination of my two greatest passions, which are technology on one side and using technology, for good and to help people, and psychology and wellness on the other side.
So, how does one stay happy when your country is in the middle of a war with terrorism?
That is an excellent question. Interestingly, Israel has always been ranked one of the most one of the happiest countries in the world. So when looking at the annual happiness reports, it's always like the Nordics, and Switzerland and Israel. So last year, actually, Israel was rated number 4. And I have my theories about that. I think it has to do a lot with resilience, and that comes into, answering what you just asked, because in Israel, there's constantly something happening, and you always have to like deal with negative, negative shit, things happening, and you have to bounce back very quickly. And resilience is really a big part of happiness. And then there's also, very strong relationships that we have here in Israel, because it's such a small country. You live close to your family, you live very close to your friends, so you're always surrounded with people. Sometimes maybe a bit too much, if you want kind of like your personal space, but there's definitely a lot of like community and a sense of support here. And also the weather, the sun. In Tel Aviv, we get, 300 days a year of sunshine. It's actually currently raining, but it was sunny this morning. And vitamin D is, very much linked to happiness. So I think it really is about in times like this, it really is about the community, the support, and also, the way I look at it, as actively supporting your happiness and well-being and doing the small things on a daily basis that support your mental well-being in a time like this.
Vitamin D is interesting. It's the reason why I moved to Mexico, although I love the extreme cold of Canada as well. Um, to me, it seems that humanity at some point, there's some pieces of it that are not scaling. For example, we impose technology on the full planet Earth, and now we can communicate, and now we can be stuck in a constant negative news cycle. Um, Terrorists feed off that, that anger, that resentment, and then they get brainwashed by someone that is even more evil than them, and they're being led to believe of stuff, and they just become so toxic that they spread out that negative energy on others in the forms of killings, bombings, massacres, and so forth. So that has a negative impact on the full world, and that leads to more vengeance. So how do we stop that negative cycle and that toxicity?
That's a really good question. I think that, war and evil and leaders of either countries or organizations, acting out of their own personal interest has always, been here, has always existed. We've had 2 world wars way before we had social media and stuff like that. It's definitely, on one hand, it's definitely negative because people are exposed to a lot more things. People are exposed to a lot of fake news. And, I see it even now, even after what happened here in Israel on October 7th, there's so much, people saying, no, that's fake. Like everything that, that we saw in the news is fake. It's not fake. But there is a lot of fake news and stuff like that. But then on the other hand, the positive side of it is that it does allow for news to travel. It does allow, for other people, other countries to know what's going on. Doesn't always help, looking at Russia and Ukraine, the fact that we know what happens there doesn't necessarily make it better or make it easier or helps us resolve that situation. But at least it's not happening like in a silo where, there's massacres going on and genocides going on and no one is aware of that. But I think, that's really on a macro level, but I think that social media has a lot of negative effects on the micro level as well, when thinking about people who are addicted to social media and what it causes, especially for like young girls in terms of self-esteem, constantly comparing yourself to models and influencers and, being much more exposed to that from a very early age has really negative effects as well.
What are the side effects of not being happy at work or in your personal life?
So, in general, let's talk about what being unhappy is, right? Because a lot of times people think that being unhappy or that the opposite of happiness is being depressed, something like a clinical condition. That's not the case. Unhappiness is really characterized as a wide range of negative emotions, and it can be from mild I forgot the word, never mind. But you can measure it by looking at stress levels and, burnout and sadness and just not feeling content with your life. And, the effects can be obviously mental, more anxiety. It's like a loop, right? More anxiety, more sadness, more burnout, but then also physical effects. Our mental health and our physical effect and our physical health are very much linked together. And studies show us that happier people live longer, live healthier lives, so they get sick less. And when they do get sick, they suffer less symptoms, they recover much faster, and they are more successful in work, in marriages, in relationships. They're more creative. So it really is something that has an effect on our entire life and not just, did I wake up this morning in a good mood?
Right. Sort of being at peace, and guess is the quantity and the quality of like negative eruptions as well, where like volcanoes and it's like, oh, now it explodes, and when you explode, you cause destruction around you and your business and your personal life and so forth. What are tips for entrepreneurs and CEOs to cultivate that happiness in them and around them?
Yeah, so I think, for CEOs in particular and for startup founders, but in general as well, in kind of like the Western society, a lot of times people think that success means happiness. Like, I'll work really hard, I'll achieve my goals, I'll be successful, and then I'll be happy. When in fact, it's kind of the other way around. If you cultivate your happiness, then you will have more joy in your life, more energy, more motivation, and that will actually drive success. So it's really important to be active and to be proactive about it and not expect it to just happen. And to kind of think about it in a way that is more similar to like fitness and, healthy eating and stuff like that, where you know that you need to be active about it. If you don't work out, if you don't go to the gym, you won't be, physically fit. If you don't prioritize your happiness, your mental well-being, you won't be happy, no matter how good objectively life is, right? You can have a really good job, a big apartment, you can be married, and on the surface look very successful and happy, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you will actually be happy. So the first thing is to be proactive and actionable about it. And then the second thing is to understand that it's not that difficult to be proactive about it. It really is, what positive psychology shows us is that happiness really is a skill, just like, learning a new language, learning to play the piano. It's a skill that we can cultivate by building that habit of practicing happiness. And practicing happiness is actually quite simple. You know, what we do with happy things is help people, like I said, practice happiness in just 5 minutes a day with a wide variety of simple daily activities. And these activities can be anything from listen to a song that brings up a happy memory, give someone a compliment, think of 3 good things that happened this week, or, you know, take a 5 to 10 minute walk outside if the weather is nice. So it's really a matter of kind of like building that habit and cultivating that skill in your life.
As a female founder, what kind of challenges have you faced building your current business?
Wow, how much time do we have? So being a female founder is definitely not easy. I would say that it starts with the fact that you have very like a very limited amount of role models because there are so few female founders. And then when looking at, you know, the VC space and trying to raise money from investors, the VC space is also very much male dominated in the US, but also here in Israel. A study from last year showed that over 90% of VCs and investors in the United States are still men. I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of similarity bias. Okay, so similarity bias, there are a lot of, you know, unconscious biases that we have that kind of help our brain work in easier ways. Some of them are very effective, but some of them cause, you know, negative results. Similarity bias is basically the concept that we are more attracted to or more likely to interact with people who are similar to us. And that similarity can be based on, you know, where we went to university, where we're from, how we look, and obviously, you know, our gender. So if the VC space is dominated by men, and we know that people are, you know, looking to work with people who are similar to them, then that's a huge barrier right there. So, you know, studies have shown that when VCs look at pitch decks of teams that are, you know, 100% women, like female founded teams, they look at different things. They need more convincing about the problem because they don't necessarily believe that that problem is real or worth solving, or that they don't believe the market is big enough. And these are things that, you know, men or male entrepreneurs don't face. Also, there is a much smaller network because, you know, at the end of the day, VCs a lot of times, you know, forget even the similarity bias. They invest in people that they know, either from school or in Israel, like from the military. And those are places where there are male cliques and like this, you know, I don't know what's happening to my brain today. Sorry. You know, just these boy cliques, these boy clubs that women don't necessarily have access to.
Right. And why did you choose happiness in the first place? You know, I've always been fascinated by happiness. It was my first college dissertation, and serotonin, the brain chemistry, psychology. Why did you choose that specific niche to launch a business idea in, which might be challenging?
Yeah. So like you, it's something that has fascinated me from a very young age. And I think mainly because I spent most of my life feeling that I wasn't happy enough and searching for different ways and solutions that would help me live a happier life. And, you know, I have a degree in psychology. I was a yoga teacher for a few years. I hold various certificates in coaching and fitness and nutrition. And all of that was part of my journey to like kind of, you know, find happiness for myself. And throughout that journey, I learned a lot of things. One of them is that, you know, happiness doesn't come from achieving our goals. You know, I always had, for years, I had these thoughts that, you know, I would, you know, just graduate from university and, you know, get a real job and then I'll be happy. Or, you know, I'll have a bigger I'll move apartments and then I'll be happy. I'll be married and then I'll be happy. And you realize that you achieve those goals, and it's not that you're not happy, but you're not as happy as you thought you would be. And then that's disappointing on its own. And also that it's not lasting, right? There's a rush of, of these positive emotions, of that serotonin and dopamine, but then it kind of fades and you're on to the next goal. And then when I came across the field of positive psychology and started kind of trying to practice it in my own life and seeing the impact and the effect that it has, I was like, okay, there's something here that's worth exploring. But then I hit the next wall, which is trying to build that habit, trying to integrate it into my life in a way that would really make an impact. And, life today is hard, right? It's so packed. You have so many things going on, work and home and, kids and errands and all that. It's really easy to let these things slip. And for me, that was like the aha moment for happy things of like, there should be a tool that helps people do this, like on a daily basis or on a regular basis, and that also teaches them that it can be done.
It is on top of your priority list slash goals list for next year.
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, your priority list, your goals list for next year. What's your top 3?
For the business, you mean? For the company?
Anything.
Anything. Okay. So, my life and the business are pretty much, intertwined. So fundraising is definitely our biggest goal. We are, about to launch our seed round in January. So that's a really big goal for us. We're also starting to work on a new focus of taking happy things to be more women focused, from understanding, our client base. 85% of our users are women, and understanding what women need in solutions like this. So we're also kind of, I wouldn't call it a pivot because it's very similar to what we do already. It's just really hyper focusing on women and on the needs of women. I don't know what my third goal for next year is. I think those are like the main 2.
Being happy.
Yeah, that's, I think that's a given.
That's like the base.
Yeah.
You said life and work are intertwined. I also operate that way, pretty much since forever, for the better and for the worse. What is the impact of merging life and business and somewhat having a consistent personality throughout?
So I think, you know this, and every entrepreneur will tell you the same, that, this journey, while, it's an amazing journey, it's really a roller coaster. And, in the same day, you can be on top of the world, and then, seriously depressed, and then, it keeps going. And when it is so intertwined with your life, then it can really affect everything, right? So your relationships are affected by that, and your home is affected by that because you don't have time to do the laundry, or to clean or stuff like that. And then also vice versa, right? Because if something in your personal life is affecting you, then you might feel that you're less concentrated in your work, that you're less productive, and there's a lot of guilt revolving around that. I think it's kind of similar to what working mothers a lot of times feel like, that they're not 100% with their kids when they're at work, and then when they're with their kids, they're not, they feel guilty about not working. So for me, I try to really, as hard as it is, find the balance. Like some days I would be like, today is not a good day for me. Like today I shouldn't work. Today I should take like the day off. If I don't have anything that is 100% pressing for that day, and I'd be like, okay, today is like a mental health day for me. I need to just lounge around, take care of myself. And then the next day I would have much more energy to keep going.
That's a bold sacrifice. Not sure if I'd take that one. You know me, my philosophy is always keep on going, and if there is pain, then bring more pain, and eventually you realize the past pain wasn't that painful. Um, I mean, we all have our approaches, right? But yeah, the weekend definitely a bit more rest, and kind of learning to chill nowadays, as I've taken the first 3 quarters of the years to hustle, hustle, hustle. Even the fourth quarter, and I'm kind of relieved that holidays are coming and there's more white spaces in my calendar to meditate, to relax, take a break, and enjoy life. Talia, thank you for coming today. Where can people find out more about you and your business?
So LinkedIn is always a good place to reach out to me. If someone wants to reach out directly, I'm at Talia at happythings.app. Yeah, there's our website is happythings.app. So you can find us there. We're on the App Store, on the Play Store.
I was Talia Soen and Charles Cormier for another CEO Wisdom Podcast.com.